The Interstellar Academy ship, Luminous Scholar, dropped out of hyperspace near the Sol system with a barely perceptible shudder. On the observation deck, 23 students from across the Galactic Confederation gathered eagerly, their diverse anatomies clustered around viewing ports as Earth came into view. A swirling, blue-white marble against the blackness of space. "It doesn't look particularly deadly," remarked Mick, a tall, reed-thin being whose translucent skin revealed the gentle pulsing of 3 hearts. His species evolved on a low-gravity moon with perpetual twilight and no weather to speak of. Professor Toll, a stocky, 6-limbed veteran of countless xenological expeditions, clicked her mandibles in amusement. "Appearances are deceptive. Earth is classified as a Class 9 Deathworld for good reason. But the humans look so fragile," chirped Dren, whose protective exoskeleton gleamed under the ship's lights. "No natural armor, no venom glands, no significant strength compared to many species." "That's precisely what makes this field study so fascinating," Professor Toll replied. "You're about to witness why humans are considered one of the most remarkable species in the Confederation despite evolving on a planet that should have eradicated them." The 20 students represented the brightest minds from across known space, selected for this prestigious xenological research trip. For most, this was their first encounter with humans outside of academic texts and simulation programs. "Our hosts will be meeting us at the North American landing facility," explained the professor. "We'll spend 1 standard week observing human society and physiology in their natural environment." Lonnie, a methane breather who floated in a specially designed environmental suit, bubbled nervously. "Is it true humans can survive injuries that would kill most sentient species? And that they deliberately expose themselves to temperature extremes for recreation?" added Vox, whose homeworld maintained a perfect 34 degrees year-round. Professor Toll raised her primary appendages for silence. "All your questions will be answered through direct observation. Remember, we're scientists. Record everything, maintain a proper environment protocols, and above all, do not underestimate humans." The ship's AI announced their descent toward Earth's atmosphere. Environmental systems began adjusting the internal conditions of the vessel to match Earth norms, a process that caused several students to activate their protective gear. For many, Earth's oxygen levels, gravity, and atmospheric pressure represented the very edge of their survivable parameters. "Will we meet Ambassador Wren?" asked Pax, whose luminescent tendrils twitched with excitement. "Ambassador Wren is meeting us at landing," confirmed Professor Toll. "He's been Earth's liaison to the Confederation for 15 years and will introduce us to our human guides." As the Luminous Scholar began its descent through the upper atmosphere, vibrations rippled through the hull. Several students instinctively braced themselves against the nearest solid surface. The protective shields glowed orange-hot against the friction. "This turbulence is normal?" asked Mick, his voice quavering slightly. "Completely routine," assured Professor Toll. "Earth's thick atmosphere creates significant resistance. For humans, this is considered a smooth entry." The viewports revealed storm clouds below, massive formations swirling across the northern continent. Lightning flickered within the dark masses, brief bursts of energy that illuminated the towering structures. "Those electrical discharges carry enough power to disable our neural systems," observed Zeal, her compound eyes dilating with concern. "Yet humans walk beneath them daily," Professor Toll noted. "This is your first lesson. Earth is a planet of extremes, and its native species have adapted to not merely survive, but thrive amid conditions we consider catastrophic." The landing countdown began as the students prepared for their first direct contact with the notorious Deathworld. None yet understood that their carefully controlled academic perspectives were about to be dramatically challenged. Ambassador Wren waited as the alien vessel settled onto the landing pad. Despite his years representing the Confederation on Earth, he still found it amusing to watch new visitors take their first steps onto his homeworld. The landing ramp extended with a pneumatic hiss, and Professor Toll emerged first, her chitinous exoskeleton gleaming in Earth sunlight. "Professor Welcome back to Earth, Ren called out. Though human in appearance, subtle enhancements marked him as one of the few humans modified for extended deep space travel. Retinal adjustments for various light spectrums, enhanced lung capacity, and reinforced skeletal structure. Ambassador, always a pleasure, Professor Toll responded, her translator converting her clicks and whistles to standard human English. My students are quite eager, if a bit apprehensive. The students emerged cautiously. Mick winced visibly as Earth's gravity, 1.3 times stronger than his homeworld, pressed down on his slender frame. Dren's breathing apparatus worked overtime to filter the comparatively dense oxygen concentration. Lani's containment suit hummed loudly, compensating for the hostile nitrogen-oxygen environment. Welcome to Earth, Ren announced. You've all been thoroughly briefed on environmental hazards, but theoretical knowledge differs greatly from experience. We'll begin with acclimatization at the Confederation Embassy complex before venturing into less controlled environments. A rumble of thunder caused several students to flinch. Dark clouds had gathered on the horizon, a summer storm approaching. Is that precipitation imminent? Asked Zeal, antennae twitching nervously. Just a thunderstorm, Ren replied casually. Fairly common this time of year. Water falling from the sky, marveled Vox, unpredictable and uncontrolled. As they boarded the ground transport, Ren explained their itinerary. Tomorrow we'll visit a nature preserve, then a farm, followed by a university, a manufacturing facility, and finally a wilderness expedition. You'll observe humans in various environments that showcase our adaptability. Professor Toll addressed her students. Remember, everything on Earth evolved in conditions we consider extreme. The life forms here are remarkably resilient by necessity. The transport hummed along the highway as rain began pelting the reinforced windows. Lightning split the sky, followed by a thunderclap that made several students emit alarm pheromones. Is this safe? Asked Pax, tendrils coiling protectively. Completely, Ren assured them. Our vehicles are designed to withstand much worse. On my world, Mick said, such electrical discharges would necessitate immediate underground shelter. The transport passed a recreational area where, despite the rain, humans were playing some kind of sport. Their bodies sliding through mud and water without apparent concern. They're deliberately exposing themselves to the elements, observed Dren incredulously. For enjoyment? Humans find certain environmental challenges stimulating, explained Ren. What you consider danger, we often see as invigorating. The embassy compound appeared ahead. A sprawling complex designed to accommodate visitors from across the Confederation. Specialized habitat zones, replicated conditions from dozens of homeworlds, allowing non-human visitors to rest in comfortable environments. Tonight, rest in your adapted quarters, instructed Professor Toll. Tomorrow begins your true education on why Earth earned its classification. As if to emphasize her point, a particularly violent lightning bolt struck nearby, illuminating the transport with brilliant white light. The resulting thunder shook the vehicle. Rather than appearing concerned, Ambassador Wren smiled slightly. Just Earth saying hello, he remarked. Wait until you experience an earthquake. Dawn broke over the landscape, sunlight filtering through dissipating storm clouds. The alien students had spent a restless night, many disturbed by the thunder and unfamiliar sounds of Earth's nocturnal creatures. They gathered in the embassy's common area, environmental suits and protective gear checked and rechecked. Today we visit Yellowstone, announced Ambassador Wren, one of Earth's most geologically active regions. Professor Toll clicked her mandibles. Pay close attention to both the environment and human responses to it. Note how casually they interact, with conditions that would be considered emergencies on your homeworlds. Their transport lifted off, flying west over vast stretches of terrain. From above, the students observed mountains, forests, and plains unfolding beneath them. The sheer variety of biomes within such proximity astonished many. Each of these ecosystems contains thousands of species, explained Wren, many potentially dangerous to unprotected humans. Yet we've adapted to coexist with most. They landed near a vast caldera, where steam vents and hot springs dotted the landscape. The pungent smell of sulfur permeated even their filtered air supplies. "We're standing atop one of Earth's supervolcanoes," Ren said casually. "Beneath us is a magma chamber that, if fully erupted, could threaten all life on this continent." Lani's containment suit bubbled in alarm. "And humans build settlements nearby? We've established monitoring systems and evacuation protocols," Ren explained. "Humans have always lived alongside such threats." They followed a wooden boardwalk where human tourists gathered, taking images of colorful bacterial mats surrounding steaming pools. The aliens watched in horror as a small human child momentarily slipped from a parent's grasp, nearly approaching the scalding water before being quickly retrieved. "The water temperature exceeds 92 degrees, noted Meek, consulting his environmental scanner. "Contact would cause immediate tissue damage." "Hence the warnings and barriers," Ren replied. "We educate rather than eliminate access." A park ranger approached their group. "Ambassador Ren," she greeted him. "I'm Ranger Kai. I'll be your guide today." The students observed her lightweight uniform, the minimal protective gear, just a hat against the sun and a small water container at her hip. "Ranger Kai patrols this region daily," Ren explained, "facing everything from extreme weather to occasional wildlife encounters. This morning I redirected a grizzly bear from a popular trail," Kai mentioned casually. "Just a young male looking for food." "A predator?" asked Dren, exoskeleton plates clicking nervously. "Apex predator," confirmed Kai. "About 400 kilograms of muscle, claws, and teeth. Mostly avoids humans, but occasionally we have conflicts." The group proceeded through the geothermal area, where Kai pointed out features and explained the ecosystem. As they walked, the ground suddenly trembled beneath them, a minor earthquake that lasted only seconds. "Seismic activity is common here," Kai said, noting the alarm among the visitors. "That was just a magnitude 3, barely noticeable by our standards." "On my homeworld," said Vox, "ground instability of any kind would trigger immediate evacuation protocols." "Here it's Tuesday," Kai replied with a smile. "We've built our structures to withstand much stronger forces." As they continued their tour, they observed humans hiking distant trails without environmental protection. Children playing near forests that harbored venomous insects and plants. Families picnicking beneath skies where weather could change violently within minutes. "The humans appear to have minimal awareness of the constant dangers," observed Zeal. "Oh, we're aware," corrected Ranger Kai. "We're just accustomed to calculating and accepting certain risks as part of existence." By midday, the tour had transitioned from natural wonders to human urbanization. The transport descended toward Chicago, a sprawling metropolis along the shore of an inland sea. Steel and glass towers stretched skyward, seemingly fragile against the forces of nature yet standing. Strong decade after decade, this city has burned down, flooded, endured blizzards and heat waves, yet humans rebuilt each time, Ambassador Ren explained as they approached. "Urban centers demonstrate perhaps our greatest adaptation, creating artificial environments within hostile ones." The alien students pressed against viewports, marveling at the concentration of human activity below. Vehicles flowed like blood cells through concrete arteries. Millions of humans moved about their business with apparent disregard for the precarious nature of their existence. Professor Toll gestured toward the massive lake. "Note the proximity to water. Many human settlements are positioned in locations that periodically try to destroy them. Isn't that inefficient?" asked Pax, tendrils waving questioningly. "Perhaps," acknowledged Ren, "but waterways provided transportation and resources throughout our development. We adapted to the risks rather than avoiding them." Their first stop was a construction site where a new skyscraper was taking shape. The students watched in fascination as human workers traversed narrow beams hundreds of meters above ground, secured only by simple safety harnesses. Massive machines moved materials with precision, operated by humans who seemed unconcerned by the tons of concrete and steel suspended above them. "Those workers," murmured Mick. "They're so exposed to potential fatal incidents." "Yet our accident. Then rates decrease yearly," replied their site guide, Engineer Toma. "We've developed safer methods while still accomplishing what seems impossible," They observed as Tomer explained how the building was designed to withstand hurricane-force winds, seismic activity, and extreme temperature fluctuations, all conditions that would occur within a normal year. The structure actually sways by design, Tomer explained. Rigidity would cause catastrophic failure during environmental stress. Adaptation requires flexibility. Their next stop revealed another aspect of human resilience. A hospital emergency department. The students watched from an observation room as medical teams treated injuries and illnesses that would be fatal on many Confederation worlds. That human has experienced significant trauma, noted Dren, as doctors worked to repair a construction accident victim. On my world, damage to that extent would be considered non-recoverable. Human medical science developed differently than most species, explained Dr. Vin, their medical liaison. We evolved expecting injury and developed extraordinary healing capabilities. Our medicine built upon that foundation. They observed as the trauma patient stabilized, vital signs strengthening despite injuries that would have meant certain death. For many Confederation species, humans are surprisingly difficult to kill, Dr. Vin continued matter-of-factly. We can lose significant blood volume, survive without oxygen for minutes, endure extreme pain, and heal from remarkable injuries. What seems miraculous to you is standard emergency medicine here. The students recorded everything, their academic understanding of humans shifting with each new observation. Not just the technology impressed them, but the casual acceptance of risk and recovery that permeated human society. You live constantly on the edge of disaster, observed Zeal. We prefer to think of it as living fully despite challenges, corrected Ambassador Wren. The difference may seem semantic, but it defines our species. The afternoon found the alien delegation at a military training facility, where special permission had been granted for them to observe human physical capabilities. The students sat behind transparent barriers while human demonstrators prepared to showcase various skills. What you're about to witness may seem extreme, Ambassador Wren cautioned. These individuals represent peak human physical potential, but their capabilities exist on a spectrum present in the general population. The first demonstration involved temperature resilience. A female soldier named Lin entered a chamber where the temperature rapidly dropped to 30 degrees Celsius. Wearing minimal cold weather gear, she methodically performed assembly tasks requiring fine motor control. Her core temperature remains stable, noted Professor Toll, reviewing biometric data. Despite external conditions that would induce fatal hypothermia in most species, humans evolved as persistence predators in variable climates, explained Captain Jor, their military liaison. Our temperature regulation systems are remarkably adaptable. The next demonstration showcased the opposite extreme, heat tolerance. Another soldier entered a chamber heated to 50 degrees Celsius and proceeded to perform strength exercises without apparent distress. They're sweating, observed Meek, fascinated by the biological cooling mechanism so foreign to his species. Precisely, confirmed Captain Jor. That evaporative cooling system lets humans function in environments that would disable most sentient species. More demonstrations followed. A soldier holding his breath underwater for over 4 minutes. Another continuing to function coherently despite 36 hours without sleep. A team lifting and moving objects several times their body weight through coordinated effort. But the most remarkable human physical trait, Ambassador Wren explained, is recovery from injury and stress. Captain Jor displayed medical images showing healed bones, regenerated tissue, and adapted muscle structures. Humans don't just survive trauma, we often emerge stronger. Broken bones heal denser, torn muscles rebuild with greater capacity. Our bodies literally reforge themselves in response to damage. This explains much about human history, mused Professor Toll. Your species treats hardship as developmental rather than destructive. The final demonstration involved a combat exercise, where soldiers moved through an obstacle course while carrying heavy equipment, navigating challenging terrain, and problem-solving under pressure. And notice they're not the strongest, fastest, or most naturally protected species, pointed out Ambassador Wren. But their endurance and adaptability compensate remarkably. Lani's environmental suit registered agitation. If humans possess such resilience individually. What happens when they coordinate collectively? That's the real reason Earth is classified as it is, replied Wren. Not just because it's dangerous, but because it produced a species that transforms danger into opportunity. As they departed the facility, the students discussed among themselves, perspectives shifting. They'd begun the day seeing humans as fragile beings surviving despite their hostile planet. Increasingly, they understood that humans were dangerous, precisely because their Deathworld had forged them into something uniquely resilient. Tomorrow, announced Professor Toll, you'll experience the most deadly aspect of human adaptation, their minds. The xenological students filed into the university lecture hall, environmental systems humming as they adjusted to the indoor conditions. This facility, part of Earth's premier xenological research institute, had been modified to accommodate diverse physiologies. Yet the architecture remained distinctly human, optimized for creatures adapted to Earth's gravity and sensory landscape. Today we examine human cognitive adaptation, announced Professor Toll. Often overlooked when categorizing death worlds is how environmental pressures shape neural development. Dr. Mara, a human cognitive scientist, stood before holographic displays, showing comparative brain scans. What makes human cognition unique isn't raw processing power, she began. Many species possess greater neural density or specialized cognitive structures. What distinguishes human thought is its extreme plasticity. The displays shifted to show human neural pathways reorganizing after injuries. This patient suffered damage to language centers, Dr. Mara explained. Within months, alternative neural pathways developed, restoring communication abilities. This level of self-repair and reorganization is rare among sentient species. Zeal raised an appendage. Does this neural plasticity explain human psychological resilience as well? Precisely, confirmed Dr. Mara. Humans routinely endure psychological stresses that would cause permanent cognitive damage in many species. We call it adaptation, or growth through adversity. The next presentation showcased human problem-solving approaches. Video displays showed historical innovations, from early stone tools to modern quantum computers. Humans evolved as generalists, explained Ambassador Wren. Unable to fly, we built aircraft. Lacking natural weapons, we created tools. Without protective exoskeletons, we constructed shelters and developed medicine. This pattern of compensating for biological limitations through technological innovation appears consistently throughout human history, added Dr. Mara. When faced with insurmountable natural obstacles, humans rarely retreat. They invent alternatives, Maike studied the displays intently. On my world, innovation occurs incrementally across centuries. These records suggest humans routinely make technological leaps within single generations. Crisis accelerates human innovation, confirmed Dr. Mara. Our greatest advances often emerge during our most challenging periods. The presentation shifted to demonstrate human social structures, complex organizational systems enabling collective action on massive scales. Individual humans may seem unremarkable, noted Ambassador Wren, but our cooperative potential multiplies our capabilities exponentially. We coordinate millions of specialists across global networks, sharing knowledge and resources. Professor Toll clicked thoughtfully. Most species evolve either strong individualism or rigid collectivism. Humans maintain a dynamic tension between the two. That tension creates both our greatest conflicts and our most remarkable achievements, acknowledged Dr. Mara. We compete and cooperate simultaneously, a cognitive paradox that drives our development. The students observed recordings of human decision-making under pressure, emergency responders during natural disasters, medical teams during complex surgeries, engineers solving cascading system failures. Note how they shift between analytical and intuitive thinking, Dr. Mara pointed out. Humans can follow precise protocols while simultaneously improvising when protocols fail, a cognitive flexibility that evolved specifically because our environment regularly presented novel threats. A final display showed the spread of human settlements across Earth's varied environments, from Arctic regions to deserts, mountain ranges to coastal plains. No other known species has successfully inhabited such diverse biomes on their homeworld, Professor Toll observed. Most remain confined to environmental niches similar to their evolutionary origin. Humans don't just survive diverse environments, Ambassador Wren concluded. We transform them to suit our needs while adapting ourselves to remaining challenges. That reciprocal relationship with our world defines us, and explains why Earth's classification extends to its dominant species. As the presentation concluded, the students processed this new understanding. The Deathworld humans called home hadn't merely failed to eliminate them, it had created them, crafting a species whose defining characteristic was transformation, of adversity into advancement. On the final day of their field study, Ambassador Wren led the alien students to a seemingly unremarkable suburban home. After nearly a week observing Earth's extremes, the students had gradually acclimatized to the planet's conditions, though most still relied on supportive environmental gear. Today you'll meet my family, Wren explained. No formal presentations or controlled demonstrations, just everyday human life. They entered the modest dwelling where Wren's partner Maya greeted them. Their two children, Nell, age 7, and Tav, age 4, watched the aliens with undisguised curiosity rather than fear. "Welcome to our home," Maya said warmly. "Please make yourselves comfortable." The students observed as the family proceeded with normal activities. Maya prepared a meal using heat and sharp implements with casual precision. The children engaged in physical play that would be considered dangerously unstructured on many Confederation worlds. Young Nell approached Dren, whose exoskeleton had previously intimidated adult humans encountered during their tour. "Your shell is beautiful," the child remarked. "Can you feel through it?" Dren, surprised by the direct approach, carefully extended an appendage. "Yes, it contains sensory receptors similar to your skin." Soon the alien students found themselves engaged in conversation with the children, answering questions about their homeworlds while learning about human childhood. Professor Toll observed silently, recording this unstructured cultural exchange. "Would you like to see my garden?" Maya asked after the meal. She led them outside where seemingly chaotic vegetation grew in organized plots. "You deliberately cultivate these plants?" asked Vox, noting several varieties with thorns or irritating oils. "Some for food, some for beauty, some for medicinal properties," Maya explained. "Humans have co-evolved with Earth's flora for millennia. We've learned which plants help us thrive." A sudden downpour interrupted their garden tour. While the aliens hurried inside, they noticed Tav and Nell instead running out into the rain, faces upturned, laughing as water soaked their clothing. "They're celebrating the precipitation," observed Zeal with astonishment. "Children especially recognize joy in what adults consider ordinary," Ambassador Wren explained. "They remind us to experience our world, not just survive it." As evening approached, the household gathered in a common area. Maya read stories to the children, tales of human perseverance, exploration, and connection. The aliens listened intently to these cultural narratives, noting how many celebrated overcoming adversity rather than avoiding it. Later, as the children slept, Maya spoke candidly with the students. "I understand you're studying Earth as a death world," she said, "but I hope you've seen it's also a life world of extraordinary beauty and possibility." "The classification is technical," Professor Toll explained, "based on objective environmental hazards. Yet those same hazards shaped us," Wren added. "Remove them and humans wouldn't exist as we are." As their final hours on Earth approached, the students gathered on the home's porch, watching a spectacular sunset paint the sky in colors many had never before witnessed. Distant thunder rumbled as another storm approached, yet none felt the alarm they had experienced upon arrival. "I understand now," Meek said quietly. "Earth isn't just dangerous, it's dynamic, and humans aren't merely surviving it, they're expressions of it." Professor Toll clicked her mandibles in approval. "The true lesson of Death Worlds isn't about categorizing planetary threats, it's understanding how environment shapes evolutionary response." As they prepared to depart, young Nell presented each student with a small plant cutting from the garden, carefully potted for their journey home. "So you remember Earth," the child explained. Not just as a Deathworld, but as our home, aboard. The luminous scholar, the students watched Earth recede from view. Their sample containers held Earth air, water, soil, elements considered hazardous on many worlds. Their records contained thousands of observations about human physiology, psychology, and society. But most valuable were their revised perspectives. Bianzi. Our final report, Professor Toll announced. We will recommend reclassification. Earth remains technically a Class 9 Deathworld by environmental standards. But its dominant species warrants a unique designation. Adaptive resilience. Beings for whom challenge is not obstacle, but opportunity. The ship accelerated toward hyperspace, carrying 23 transformed perspectives back to the Confederation. And, with them, a deeper understanding of why humans had earned both fear and respect throughout the galaxy.